Next item on the agenda is probably one of the more busier departments in the city these days, is the planning department. So welcome, Mr. Director Fatsis.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the council. You're right on. This was an exciting year, a busy year, a very productive year for the planning department, and for each and every one of you, because I think I've spoken to every one of you about a project or two or five in your respective wards, and quite frankly, across the city. It's been a big year. We are currently tracking, or we have permitted 3,600 new housing units in the city. Well over 48 projects before us this year. New businesses and 2 LDAs. This council had a lot to do with all of that. We've also had a very robust year and some changes on the affordable housing side. It's hard to talk about planning without at least mentioning that the community development side of the house has also played a very supportive role. This year we had 4 people turn over in the 2 departments, 2 in each department. From on the community development side, our fiscal manager, who has been with the city for some 38 years, maybe more. And also our housing planner, who also does quite a bit on the other side of the house as well. The good news is I've been able to make 3 hires in the last month. 1 has started, and we have 2 more scheduled to come in. 1 on the community development side, the housing planning job, and also a planner 2, who we have just made an agreement with last week. So things are going well as far as filling in. What has been an extremely competitive market has been something in trying to compete and bring folks into this department. We learned quite a bit in the last year, so we've made some changes, and I'd like to share those now. We've got about a $90,000 difference in year-over-year budget. One easy one is view permit. We've added $25,000 to a line which will allow us to actually sync up with both the planning department and DPW. It's a software program that we were very fortunate that we kind of bummed off of another department, Jay Duca's department last year. This year we have to pay our own freight on that software, so that's about $25,000. Another conversation with the collective bargaining groups. We've been characteristically a group that's done a lot of comp time versus overtime. And as you all know, the bargaining groups have a choice. And this year, because there was a lot of people out, some of them opted for overtime and kind of opened up that box. Overtime is covered when we do a planning board meeting, when we do city council meetings with our staff, historical commission, bicycle commission, and many weekend events that we do in conjunction with the parks services of the schools. It's important to note that when overtime is paid, even on the community development side of the house, that comes out of our budget. So that you see before you a $30,000 overtime request. I asked the financial office to do a comparison between comp time and overtime. I was very surprised to find out that, in fact, when you offer comp time, you end up with a 25% premium over if you paid somebody straight overtime. And I thank Mark and Eric for doing the math on that. It's short. But I also know that if an individual wishes to choose overtime over comp time, both unions that are served in my office have that choice. So that really brings you into about $55,000 worth of the change. Another change you see before you is the the upgrading of a position. The Assistant Planning Director, and you all know him, his name is Mr. Stevens. Rob Stevens has served as our, if you will, our urban redevelopment planner. Unfortunately, with some of the losses that we suffered on the Planning 2 side, he's picked up quite a few other things, and he's done a great job keeping them both going. We will be adding Planning 2, which would be replacing one employee that left about 8 months ago. I've been able to use some monies from that account to pay overtime in my lines. You'll see an $8,000 transfer. There'll be another one coming. I also do want to point out that as we go through what you have before you, which is what we've spent this year, a couple of things would pop off that page after, okay? And they're pretty easy to explain. Travel in-state, travel out-state, we haven't been able to do that. Quite frankly, we've been too busy. We haven't been able to utilize those budgets in the manner in which we'd like to. There are a number of events and conventions and training opportunities that we have not taken advantage of. I have not traveled out of state since I took this job. It's important to note that what we try to do is participate as robustly as we can with all the organizations that touch the planning department and community development. But job one this year was just to get the volume handled on both sides of the house, and we were very successful doing so. Very proud of the employees that have all stepped up. There isn't a person in the department that hasn't stepped up and hasn't been asked to do a little bit more. I'm very proud of the outcome. The 2% employee salary adjustments are also in this budget. And there is also an upgrade for myself, but I would ask Mark to come up and explain that. I don't think I should self-serve. And he can explain to you how that came about. And
Mr. Chairman, as you could understand, wouldn't be the easiest thing for the planning director to speak on his own behalf on salary adjustment. I speak not only for Mr. Capacities, but also to the position itself. The planning director's salary has been properly updated in the upcoming 2018 budget, as the previous increase that the position deserved was never applied. A salary review, salary study, if you will, was done for positions throughout the city. I believe the year was 2015. There had been a 5 or 6 year period of time where no increases had been given over that, so the study was needed. At that time, I think there was some upheaval and disruption in the director's office itself. We had an interim director for a period of time after a period of absence of the former director. It's during that period that the salary itself should have been updated along with other, for lack of a better word, tier 1 salaries. The DPW commissioner, the city solicitor, the municipal finance director, city clerk, and planning director, along with what is now the public building commissioner, were all updated to a level 1 salary, which is reflected in the line that you see beside Mr. Patsy's position today. So we extended the budget in 2018 to reflect what should have been corrected probably 2 years ago.
The last thing I did want to say that, again, within some of the budget lines, our licenses are due in June, so that's why you'll see some monies remaining and a couple of licenses in our professional and contracted lines. AIPC, which is the organization that licenses professional planners, those get paid. So we're still carrying that forward. Pretty much everything else is where we're at. Like I would say, we have a 25% staff shortage during the year. We should have, as I say, 3 people coming on shortly. I have replaced the junior planner, who has been on for now 6 weeks. So basically, that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Also, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Francis, and Mr. Francis. So, Jim, we've talked an awful lot about document management and the, antiquity of stop by the planning department Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 if you're interested in this project in your backyard. And, I've loaded up every document your department's provided into my own personal website, but we need a uniform way to manage planning department documents. So it's great for me to hear that you're adding on to the viewpoint. I know, it's been slow in being rolled out, but it is coming forth. We were hopeful kind of with the new website, but, kudos to the department who've been trying that. But it really is important to get this information available to the public and easy accessible. So it sounds like the tools are coming online, and then more so the staff piece. I mean, your staff are tremendous, but they're most definitely overworked and under-resourced. So I'm glad to see the department filling out, and Rob Stevens in handling so many as the planner has done such a terrific job, and I want to kind of commend his efforts and their responsiveness with him and Sue as all these parties are rolling forward. It's been who's handling that same team, very consistently, and their work is recognized, so please let them know.
The model mirrors itself on the CD side of the house, community development side of the house with Sean. This is basically a job that on the planning side very much mirrors what Sean Lennon does on the other side of the house. And as I've said, there's been great progress made in a couple of our our affordable housing trust, and you and Councilor Finn obviously have had the opportunity to see that there's a rationalization being done over there. And I was very fortunate to have the use of Eric Mason and Mr. Mallow to kind of look at the manner in which we go out and bring money in for affordable housing. That's been a great success. As you know, approximately $14 million worth of money is going to come in that way. And one of the big things that I'm very proud of is being able to take a look at the different options that affordable housing has. It's not just that you can give us cash in lieu of. As we did our research, there are any number of projects I don't think paid their fair share. And so we went back and standardized, using national standard to figure out what construction costs should be considered. Oddly enough, now we have some people that would just happily give us off-site units or on-site units, where pretty much everybody was going to straight cash. And I know it's been a great concern of this council to look at affordability and housing in the city. And this has been I think another one of the success stories that have come out of the department. So I thank you for listening to what I had to say. If there are any other questions, I'll be happy to respond.
No, I just to wrap up, I will say, the planning department also, this budget that you present to us is not reflective of all of the work done within the department. So much of it through the CDBG portal, the work that you've done, the funds that you're able to leverage up to the department and to bring in. I think kind of similar to we mentioned this comments of the library, what you're able to do is just so far above and beyond the documentation before us. Sean Lennon does a terrific job. That was terrific. And Councilor Crowsward, the governor, came for the announcement of the project that you and both worked, very hard on with the Watson. And I think that the city is doing our part in the diversity of the location of affordable housing and how it's able to infiltrate the neighborhoods and not just be the one kind of high-rise, all-skin location. So I just thank you, and I'll be supporting the budget.
I also want to commend the council for its job making it clear out there that the funding sources for the federal side, the HUD money, is something we're very concerned about. And
You stole my question.
I'm sorry.
So I take it you have a contingency plan in place in the event that the HUD secretary and the president's
Yes,
budget
but
around
it's-
eliminating CDBG.
Well, we're very, very close, and we've met very recently with Congressman Lynch's office. His comfort level is 1 year.
Massachusetts is, we don't have to worry about Massachusetts delegation related to that. But, and I'm also going to guess, and we have friends perhaps on the National Governors Council and other places who recognize the committee, it's a bipartisan, I'm sure, group that recognizes the value of these programs, and hopefully they will speak up, because the loss of those would be, and the tragedy for us is that it would be coming right at the time when the shipyard is finished and done, so again.
We're paying great attention, we do have a contingency plan, but again, this is, a contingency plan without funding is,
Well, I do think you have a 1 year cushion, but
We have a 1 year
nonetheless,
cushion.
it is a battle that everybody's got to be conscious of.
There's a motion made by Councilor Forrest to move approval on the motion. Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you for all your hard work, Mrs. Batsy. It's been unbelievable the amount of applications and different projects that are going on throughout the city of Quincy. I mean, I don't remember a time where it's been as much workload on yourself. You do a great job with what you're doing. I want to thank you. I just had a few questions, just in general, comments about how important it is for the Affordable Housing Trust and what we can do out of that Affordable Housing Trust throughout the city of Quincy with all the blights that are still going on throughout the city. Has any more takers have been looking to do anything with the trust from blight areas around the city?
yes, we have 2 applications before us right now that are, we've actually voted to fund. They have to get their ducks in a row. They usually have multiple funding sources. But, beyond Naval Works and some of the other folks that are out there that are frequent flyers, there's a discussion to be had as we go forward, how we can spend this money and how to best spend the money. Obviously, $14 million sounds like a lot of money until you realize what it costs to renovate one building, to build one building, any number of units. So what we like to do is look at that money as a leverage that allows us to touch more lives, participate with other programs, and maximize the amount of monies that can go into it. So it's a good story, but this is it's a good problem to have, and we're working on it, and the trust has been working on it, and I would tell you that we're in a much better place than we were, but we have to continue to work, and the effort is showing up. And I'll say this, a lot of folks, when they look at the entirety of what's going on in development in the city, there's a certain amount of, why are they letting all these people come? One of the things we try to explain is, as a unit, our job is to make sure that we follow the ordinances that have been passed by this body. And we do our best to make sure that development is done properly. And there's a lot of pushback. There are days that I'm talking no, and there are other days that, I have to explain that all the problems in the world can't be thrown on the backs of a number of multiple unit developments. They're doing a pretty good job managing what they are expected to do. The city is mature. We have a lot of neighborhoods with 2- and 3-family houses that have a lot of cars that didn't have as many cars when those houses were being built. So, but we are striking a balance, and we've been out, I personally been in front of the Rotary Club, and in front of neighborhood groups, Lions Club, and it's very interesting because the people ask the same questions. What are we doing, and are we holding people's feet to the fire as far as the rules that are acceptable to this community, and we are. We will continue to do so. And as proud of I am of the number of units that we've been able to permit, I will tell you that there are probably 1,000 units that were not permitted in the city and have been sent back to the drawing board. We'll continue to do so. The planning board has worked extremely well with the ZBA. And there's a great dialogue between these two groups, and we're doing our best to protect the neighborhood values and make sure that when something is approved, it's approved properly. And I can't say enough about the staff. And I just have been so blown away by how much every single person has stepped up. And I appreciate the work. And again, I appreciate all the work that's been done on the OPAs in this body as well. It's been beautiful.
On top of the affordable housing is the new term workforce housing.
Yes.
You know, as much as anybody wants to think, and we're doing the downtown and everything, workforce housing is the traditional blue-collar style of Quincy, Massachusetts. Right? You know, whether you want to try to change that or not, it's still a blue-collar city. And workforce housing is deemed for police, fire, teachers, nurses, those professions. That's workforce housing. And those are the working class. We need to continue to strive towards helping that working class, people that want to do it the right way, the legal way. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the future of the planning as well as the affordable housing side, but the workforce housing for those different professions that are getting out of college and going into a next term with whether they go into these fields or not. How do you feel about that, Mr. Fatsis?
Well, I'll tell you, we were very fortunate this year to have a robust discussion on affordable housing. And it was much focused on the downtown. And I think that the prevailing thoughts of this council were made clear. But it's important to note, when you look at the map of Quincy where the development is, and now downtown is in the mix, there's been a great deal of development in every single neighborhood. And I can see affordable housing happening in every ward right now. And some of it's spectacular. As you know, the governor has been a big supporter. And I don't think we're where Cambridge is. I don't know, Councilor Finn, you saw today that they're moving the law to a 20% affordable housing ratio over 10. I think that might have something to do with much of the city has already been developed on housing. But you know, it's very, very prevalent. It's important in this neighborhood and in this city.
Just to add something, though.
No, absolutely, no problem.
It's kind of a matter of personal privilege anyway, but I want to make clear is that in the semantics of this, I know we hear workforce housing and affordable housing, but affordable housing and the trust and how it began, we're really always talking about people above 60% median income, correct? Median area income. So from the beginning, this has always been about working people, police, school teachers, all of that in terms of the Affordable Housing Trust. When Councilor Hanley first framed the ordinance, that was exactly, in fact, they were calling it the police and teachers' housing. Now, how many of them get that? I'm not entirely certain. Quincy's always had a great history of taking care of special needs populations on top of it, particularly through whether it's you're dealing with McKinney dollars or even the developmental disabled dollars or different types of things that Quincy's been fantastic on. But to be clear, the Affordable Housing Trust has always been about the specific niche that Councilor DeBona has mentioned.
Workforce housing.
And that, you know, the semantics workforce housing refers to a specific need that's here in the greater Boston area in particular, and that's become a way of articulating it. But it's always been focused on that from the beginning, just to be clear. And having been engaged on that special needs side for so long, I know what Quincy does. But this has always been intended for that very purpose. And I appreciate that my colleague is trying to clear up some of the confusion that exists out there for whom this housing is intended, because I think it's an important point. But thank you again. Thank you for all your great work. And thank you for yielding your time, Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Thank you, Mr. Fatsis. Okay, Mr. Chairman, yes.
All right, the motion on the floor, any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Council King.
Yes.
Council Bowman.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Council Harris.
Yes.
Council Hughes. Yes. Council LaFars.
Yes.
Council Leeang.
Yes.
Chairman Cole.
Yes. 8 in the affirmative, the budget passes. All right, folks, we'll be back in this room on Friday morning for an 8:30 kickoff. With that being said, I close the Finance Committee meeting at 9:58. Thank you.
So,